Again. All right, next up, we have Jonathan Ord. Jonathan is the CEO of DealerSocket. As CEO, Jonathan Ord sets vision and drives overall strategy for DealerSocket. Jonathan co-founded DealerSocket in 2001 to create a revolutionary model for industry niche CRM applications. Both DealerSocket and Jonathan have received many accolades, including being named Best Company globally in 2008 by the Stevie International Business Awards, Best Management Team in the 2009 American Business Awards, and one of Red Herring North American 100 in 2009 as well. Additionally, Jonathan has been honored as one of the most successful young entrepreneurs and executives in Southern California, being honored with the 2010 Excellence in Entrepreneurship Award from the Orange County Business Journal. In 2014, Jonathan won Entrepreneur of the Year Award for Orange County. A quick search of his slides. That's a hint to Andy. We got the speaker slides. I was talking with Jonathan last night, and he shared with me this deep thought. When you clean out a vacuum cleaner, you become a vacuum cleaner. Please give a warm, innovative Dealer Summit welcome to Jonathan Ord.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Jonathan.
that. Sure.
Here's the big green
button. Got it. Thank you. Appreciate you guys being here. This is a really great forum. Chip Perry and I were talking before the symposium started, and I think we were at one of the first Colorado one of these events. And back then it was down in the tech center in a small hotel, and so it's great to see many more of you here and trying to be more innovative and trying to learn about the business in a more thoughtful way. I love the automotive business. If any of you guys have heard me speak before or talk to our employees, we absolutely love the automotive business, and we love what you guys do for communities. We love how charitable you are with your communities. I love going to high school football games and high school basketball games and seeing your banners up everywhere. And I just think it's the lifeblood of what we do. And so in talking about digital retail today, I'm going to focus on why I think it's so important that the dealers stay at the center of the digital retail revolution. Because that's the model that we espouse. We love the dealership. We don't want to subjugate our responsibility outside of the dealership and give it to anybody else. So as we talk about digital retail today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we think about it and what we've seen in the market and some best practices. First of all, we're in, as we've talked about a lot, and I won't belabor the point, but we're in an age of Amazon, right? People go to places, they buy things, they get recommendations, they get prescriptive recommendations on what they should purchase, what other people like them purchased. And when you look at what a consumer goes to throughout their day and where they buy commodities and goods and services, right? My wife buys all of our groceries online now, and they come in these big green boxes, and they've got dry ice in there, and it's cheaper than going to Costco, and they drop it all right off at the house. And I came in one day into the garage, and I love cars, and so the garage space is so critical for our family. And all these green boxes are in there that have these handles, and she goes, well, we have to leave them because they pick them up the next day and take them back and bring more green boxes back the next day. And I said, well, there's someplace else we can put these green boxes because they're taking up valuable garage space. And she just laughed at me, so I stopped that argument. But the interesting thing is she goes online, she picks all of her groceries, and she has them delivered to the house, right? She goes on Amazon, uses Amazon Prime, and has things delivered to our house. And even when we go on vacation and go up to our ranch, let's say, she sends things there, and they're just automatically there. And so then when people go from that to the car buying experience, and they go to your websites, and all they can really do is schedule a service appointment and schedule a sales appointment and not get a ton of information about kind of working the deal all the way through and getting a certain amount of paperwork done and right doing some things, booking out their trade, all that kind of good stuff. Or it's kludgy in some ways, then it's really a disconnected experience for the consumer. Because the consumer is living in this world of easy access to things, and then they come to us, and it's a little bit less that way. So what have we learned? First of all, the customer buying behavior, right? 95% of new car shoppers are shopping online, right? They're doing, in the car buying process, they're doing that online, okay? The customer experience, the trust, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit so I don't dig into Chip's time. But 81% of consumers don't enjoy the buying process. It's an interesting deal, right? I've been into a lot of dealerships. I love going into dealerships. And when I go into dealerships, most sales reps will tell me, I can't believe that people don't enjoy this process, right? Your salespeople think that this is a wonderful process and they make it a wonderful process. And in many cases, it is a good process. And in many cases, we drive a process that drives a consumer into a selling process for our dealership. And we forget about the customer's buying process. And we deal with the selling process that we have inside the store. And so even though it's a good process, it still pushes the consumer to want something different. A good example, I used to buy, I love shoes as well, right? I'm a car guy, I'm a shoe guy. I love, all things Jordans. I like, my wife gives me a hard time about my closet in my garage. So the shoe buying process is an interesting one. I never thought I had a problem with buying shoes. Okay, I'd go to the mall, I'd go to Foot Locker, I'd go to Cole Haan, I'd go whatever, and I'd go buy shoes. And I never thought I had a problem with that. I never had a problem with the salespeople that were selling me shoes. As a matter of fact, it was kind of neat to have somebody kind of rub my feet and stick my foot in a shoe with a shoe horn, right? Go to Nordstrom's, be able to take stuff back. And I never thought I had a problem, but I was thinking about it the other day. I haven't bought a shoe in a store for like 2 years. And I've bought a lot of shoes, and Zappos has become my best friend. Right? And so even though the process wasn't great, the ease and simplicity and merchandising of Zappos and the ease of the model has driven me that way. So we've seen a lot of competitors come out in the space that are trying to disintermediate the dealers, right? We've seen Carvana and Vroom and BP and all these, right? They have a challenge. Those companies have a challenge because they don't have access to inventory. And you see those companies go out and buy used car stores to try to have access to inventory so they can sell, right? And you've seen some of those cars have some of those stories have huge problems as they try to roll out their business plan because it's really, really costly. And they can't do what they want to do because they don't have that access to inventory. You guys have access to inventory, right? You guys have all the access to the consumer data, right? We have inside a DealerSocket with 10,500 customers and 120 million VINs that go through our application on a yearly basis. We know how people buy. We know how people sell their cars, right? Trade in their cars, service their cars, do all this kind of good stuff. You have access to the two most important things, consumers and vehicles. So why you would let anyone else disintermediate that process and get in the middle of between you and your customer is asinine, okay? So if you take one thing away, go back and fix that. And I'll show you how we can do it. 33% of consumers would like to be able to complete the entire process online. Okay, when I go to dealers think that, when I ask dealers, they kind of get on the train, right? And they say, well, 70% of my customers want to do everything online. I'm like, no, they don't. 33% of consumers would like to do a lot of the paperwork online and get things going online. Most people want to do a little bit with you in the store and do a little bit with you online. Okay? And so your process and your procedures internally have to be consistent with that buying process. Okay, so the consumer wants to go, they want to research, they want to find out what vehicles you have on the lot, they want to find out how they can finance those vehicles, they want to understand payment structures, they want to go through a process of trading in their vehicle, they want to be able to then maybe have a conversation with you, maybe come down to the store and test drive a couple vehicles, and then they want to go back home, and they want to think about it, and then they want to talk to their spouse. And then they want to get online and say, yeah, I am settled on that vehicle. And then they want to start filling out paperwork so that because they don't have to come back into your store and sit in a laborious, tedious, time-consuming process, right? And guess what? They also want to know about F&I products because the first time we tell them about F&I products is when they get in the box, right? And then they feel like they have to buy somebody from an overly pushy salesperson that's being comped on attachment of F&I products in the F&I process. Right? That's just the wrong way to do it. The consumer doesn't know anything about the products. They don't know what value is there, right? They don't know what other consumers like them also purchase these products, right? They haven't been able to see a video on that particular F&I product that shows them exactly the qualities and value that they'll get out of that F&I product, right? And so we're trying to sell them things they don't know, and then we're trying to do it in a way that's disjointed from their connection to you as a customer relationship manager, okay? All right. So 4 key components of this new digital retailing deal that we look at significantly. One is trust and transparency. We'll talk about each one of these. Time invested, invest in your brand, and then meeting your customers, where you meet your customers, okay? So first thing, Go back one. Okay. All right, trust and transparency. I'll go there. Okay, so trust and transparency. When you have a consumer go to your website, fill out forms, go to your VDP pages, click on that link, go and start working payments on a particular vehicle, look to trade in their vehicle and see how much they can be credited toward their particular trade and that particular deal. Also, you're giving them access to what their payoff is on their loan and all that good stuff because you have the data on them in your CRM system, right? When they do that, and then they come into your store and your sales manager doesn't know what the hell is going on the website, trust is totally ruined. Okay, because they've gone a certain way down the road on the website, and they come in and your sales manager just goes, yeah, I know, we do that stuff on the website. Let me start working the deal for you again here. And the consumer goes, come on, right? They've spent all this time on the website, they have a certain amount of time that they've done, and then they come in and the sales manager doesn't know what the heck's going on. So make sure that the digital retailing platform that you use integrates tightly with your CRM and integrates tightly with your desking solution. So that when they do come in, you know exactly when they're going to come in and what they've already seen on the website, and that those numbers match and they're not feeling like they're getting the bait and switch. Okay? So trust and transparency is key. Some of the things that are really simple and easy is, number one, I believe that your digital retailing environment should be encapsulated in your website. That you should not be pushing people out to another third-party website that then they do their digital retailing environment and then it comes back into you, okay? This is not a lead generating activity, in my opinion, okay? There's a lot of good lead generators out there, okay? You should get leads from wherever you can possibly get them, and you should get them the highest quality you can, and you should pay for those ones that are valuable and not pay for those ones that aren't valuable, okay? So it's not a lead generating activity. It's once we have the consumer and once they know and have done a little bit on your website, then how are we creating that experience, that integrating with the customer's buying process online and doing it in a way the customer feels more comfortable and feels like an honored guest to come into your home inside your dealership to perform a transaction and to create a long-term relationship with you, okay? So make it simple and easy. One of the things that we do that's unique is we have on the right side of the screen all the time as they go through the digital retailing process, we let them know what everything is there, including taxes and fees and all kinds of stuff, so the price doesn't change, right? A lot of times you go to the digital retailing process and says, here's the price you're going to pay for your car, here's your monthly payment. Then you come into the store and all of a sudden there's a bunch of fees and other stuff that's lopped on top of it, and the consumer says, well, I thought I had a $700 payment, and now you're saying I got an $810 payment. Now I'm not trusting you as much as I was before. Okay? So full transparency on all these different things and line item them out. So when you go through the process, those numbers actually change and get better. Can you flip this for me? The little guy's not working. Okay, so make it really, really easy on how you book out trades as well. One of the things that we noticed is that when you book out trades online, that the consumer has in their mind a different view of what value is than you do. Okay, you have access to what you can sell that car for, what you need, how you need to recondition it, how you need to change out the tires and the wheels and the chipped windshield, what have you. And so you're in the mindset in the used car department of devaluing that trade through the process, and that's the right thing to do. The challenge is there's a disconnect. The consumer goes to Kelly and they get information, one of the valuation guides, they get information, they find out what their car can be sold on the open market. They think that's the number that they should use, not the trade-in value. Okay, number one, there's a disconnect. Number two is that they don't think through the actions that you need to do to get it ready for resale. Okay, so there's a couple things we do here. One is we go through and ask a bunch of questions about, has it ever been in an accident, right? Do you have a chip in your windshield? Do you have tires, whatever? And then we also allow them to book it out based on your book, and we also give them the ability to say, what do you think it's worth? And when we first rolled this out, the dealers would say, why are you asking him what they think it's worth? I just want to know what I think it's worth and what I'll pay him for it, okay? Now, are you going to pay him what he thinks it's worth? No. But now you know where the starting line is, and you know where your line is, and so you have to figure out a way to bridge that gap through your relationship, through your communication, through your digital retailing messaging and marketing and merchandising. Okay, does that make sense? Because that disconnect ruins that trust and transparency. Another thing on the F&I product side, right? You want to help the dealer understand what other people purchase. We also want to make sure that they can click on a Learn More button and see valuable, content-rich videos of what those products mean. Okay? What does a service contract mean? Why do people buy it? What is gap insurance? Okay? I'm telling you, your F&I managers don't do a great job of taking the time to really communicate that to them, and the customers don't give them the ability to do a great job there because the customers are trying to get out of there. Okay? I bought a car for my daughter at a dealership that I know really, really well last week. Okay? I got into the F&I department and I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I know what you're going to tell me, right? I know the technology you're using, and I'm done. Okay? So even though I knew a bunch of the value on those products, right? And I really like the F&I manager because I know him personally. I was like, dude, just quit selling me. Just let me get out of here. And so our ability to front load this merchandising effort and using your CRM tool to proactively market and merchandise these products before they ever come into the store, that's really, really important because the consumers have to know this stuff, okay? All right, time invested, a big one. Right? This is a simple yet very, very powerful message from consumers, which is I do not want to spend an inordinate amount of time at your dealership. And there's a bunch of things we can do to hurry up that process, okay? Invest in your brand, okay? Like I said before, many of the digital retailing companies and technology out there you have to make sure that it's not moving people away from your brand. Okay? When a customer can go to a manufacturer website and book out things and get value in work payments and all that kind of good stuff, that's taking them away from your experience on your website, right? Your website is your digital footprint. Your website is where people go to find out more about you and continue a relationship over time with you. Okay? It's not just a lead generator. It's not just a display page for the vehicles that you have on the lot. It is a relationship manager. Okay, so you need to look at your website in a way in which, how are you maintaining a relationship? How are you creating a relationship? How are you maintaining that relationship? And then how are you making that proliferating that relationship into many more relationships where your consumers are posting your web pages on their Facebook pages, they're sending the links to their friends, their family members, because it's really, really easy for them to get access to your data and to good solid calculation engines and trading in your vehicle and everything else, okay? So don't let yourself be disintermediated because your lack of ability to do things in your digital footprint, okay? All right, last thing, meet your customers. Where are you meeting your customers? We have my wife and I have a place, we have 6 children, okay? We live in Southern California. My oldest just got married last year, and my youngest is 5. So we're kind of running the gamut, okay? My wife is busier than just about anybody on the planet. And so when we get away, we like to get away. And we have a ranch outside of Park City, Utah that we love to go to. I love seeing the snow out here because that means we're getting dumped on there. And we love to snowmobile, okay? We absolutely love to snowmobile. And so we get out and we go into the high Uintas and snowmobile, and every single time we go, one of my kids cracks up a snowmobile. Okay, every time. As a matter of fact, I just got an email from Rich Weller at Weller Recreation telling me my estimate for the last crack up that we just had. And so when I bought my snowmobiles from Rich Weller at Weller Recreation, I said, Rich, I don't want the best deal in the world. Okay, I want a fair deal, but I don't want the best deal. I don't want to overly grind you. I know what other people pay. I can get all access to this information. But I want you to over-service me. Okay, I only come out here a couple times a year to have time. We're in and out, right? 3 or 4 days. We have a lot of time over a short amount of time. I want to come. I want these things to work. And if we ding them up, I want you to come to the house and pull the thing out of the house. I'll give you the garage code, pull it out, service it, do whatever you need to do, okay? He comes to me. He's made it a wonderful relationship. He high grosses the hell out of me. And I love it. And I love it, okay? Your customers in different ways are wanting that same experience. Are we delivering the cars to their homes? Are we doing things that make it really easy for them to have a relationship with us? When we do have people hit our website and go through a certain amount of the digital retailing process, are we in an environment where we get them on the phone and don't just say, hey, let me set an appointment for you, you come into the dealership? Do we have the mechanisms to say, let me come to you, where are you right now? Let me let you drive this car for a couple hours. Let me let you drop this car off for you. I'll pick up your car. I'll bring it down to the dealership, get it fully appraised, and give you a reconditioning report on it. You drive this car for the afternoon. I'll come back at the end of the day when you're done with work and trade your cars back. We'll figure out if we can do a deal, right? Do you have the mechanisms to start being more proactive? I had in an interview that I did not too long ago, they said, do you think dealers will continue to consolidate and get bigger and more full and be bigger centers of excellence? And I said, no, I actually think dealers will get more nimble. That the Lexus dealership, which is our very first customer, Larry Schmiller Lexus in Salt Lake City, Utah, still a customer of ours today. He's one Lexus store within 300 miles of Salt Lake. He has a satellite store down in Linden. It's for 300 miles, but he sells Lexuses to all these small towns around Utah, right? And he has done a great job of trying to take the service offering to the consumer, okay? And they're contemplating putting small 1 and 2 bay service departments in small towns around that just are, satellite operations that just help you take the value to the consumer. You see this in Europe, you see this in Australia, you see this in other countries around the world where they've taken the servicing to the center hubs and make it extremely easy for people to service. And then when you want to buy a car, they have a limited number of cars that you can drive that they bring to you, and then you order cars, right? That's kind of the rest of the world does it that way. We're very impulse-related buying environment still in the U.S., and I think we will be for a long time. But are we enabling ourselves to really meet the customer where the customer wants to be met? Okay? So, key things, trust and transparency. Okay? Meeting the customer where they want to be met. Okay? Making sure that you're not disintermediating yourself from the buying process. It's your brand. It's what you want to do. And then are you evaluating what time is being spent at your dealership by your consumers and if they're having a wonderful experience or not? And how much of that can the consumer do online through their buying process, what they want to do to adhere to their own buying process, or are we funneling our customers down through a chute like cattle through our selling process? Okay? And I've found that if we open up the aperture and let the cows graze wherever they want to graze, they will eat more, they will get fatter, and they will be happy cows. Okay? Thank you for your time.
Fantastic job. Give it up for Jonathan Ord. Man, a lot of stuff in there. I don't know about you, but if you weren't worried earlier, you should be worried now because somebody is trying to disintermediate you. I'm not even sure I know what that means, but one of my action items is to look up disintermediate. It sounds painful. One of the action items you take away from that could be, do I investigate my alignment between the online experience and the in-store experience, and how seamless is that? I actually have a store that's experimenting with an appraisal process where the customer appraises their car with the help of the salesperson. So the customer has the iPad, they're walking around the car together, and the customer's punching the button that says, yeah, the windshield's cracked, yeah, the fender's dented, tires are worn, right? And then it produces the number, right? In an effort to make them part of the process and complete the transparency piece of it. These are the types of things that are going on. So I appreciate Jonathan bringing that to the forefront.